What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 256 of Hashtag AskGSM here today for October 24, 2018. I am Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well. We actually have more questions for today's show than we've had in recent weeks. But the interesting thing is that I'm actually short on time today. I got to get going in like less than an hour, so I got to hurry this thing up very quickly. So if I rush through any of the questions for this week, I apologize. It was a very newsworthy week in the week of wrestling, WWE specifically, between the Roman Reigns stuff. We have Evolution on Sunday and everything else going on right now. So we are breaking down each and every question you guys sent in. If you want to send in a question, tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop a question in the comment section below on this very video. I'll include it in next week's edition. So without further ado, let's get started here. DarkmanX16 from YouTube. His question was, I heard rumors of a Team Angle versus Team Corbin match at Survivor Series. Even though I have not watched Raw since January, I'm glad they're not doing another Raw versus SmackDown match because it's so played out at this point. To my surprise, a lot of people on the internet are not happy about it. I don't understand why WWE feels the need to do a brand warfare every Survivor Series. Sure, 2005 Raw vs. SmackDown was great, but even then it was 3 years into the brand split, and I don't think they did another until like 2009 or something like that. There are so many other great Survivor Series matches that are not Raw vs. SmackDown, like the one in 2003 with Austin vs. Bischoff. Also, who says it needs to be 5-on-5 when in the past it was 4-on-4? What do you think? 5-on-5, 4-on-4, doesn't really matter to me. It really is more a matter of like what the story calls for. If you only have like a faction of 4 people, there's really no need to add on a 5th person. I think, have they done 4-on-4 matches at all in recent years? I think it's all been 5-on-5. For some reason, I specifically remember one instance where it was 4-on-4. I don't remember what that was or what match it might have been. But I completely agree. I hate the Raw versus SmackDown shit. I love the brand split. I love brand, supremacy, whatever, from time to time. It feels forced. Because November feels like the only month out of the year where they care about Raw versus SmackDown. If they cared that much, then why the fuck are they trading talent like it's candy? Like Big Show, going to SmackDown for no real reason. Tamina from SmackDown going to Raw for no real reason. No explanation whatsoever. So if they don't care about their talent jumping from one show to the other, then why the fuck would they care about fighting for bragging rights? Not the pay-per-view from 9-10 years ago. From 9-10 years ago, whatever it was, 8-9 years ago. What does that even matter? It matters not much at all. Nothing is on the line. Nothing is at stake. Why the fuck should anyone care about a Raw versus SmackDown feud going into Survivor Series? Last year, the last couple years, we've had some good matches out of it. I thought AJ and Brock was great. The Raw versus SmackDown multi-man match, not last year. Last year's kind of was disappointing. The first year I thought was great in 2016. There's nothing on the line, though. It would be cool if, the brand that won their champion gets the, main event WrestleMania, or they get the 30th pick in the Rumble. But this company, at least nowadays, does not think out that far unless your name is Roman Reigns. So, that being said, they're not going to do that. They probably should. That would be the only real reason why I would care about the outcome of brand warfare in 2018. At this point, it doesn't matter. And like you said, they did it in 2016, a month after they split the brands. There's no real rivalry between Raw and SmackDown at that point. So why the fuck would I care then? I still don't care now. And the brand split's been back now for 2.5 years. I agree. I really do not want to see any Raw versus SmackDown matches. I don't think that's in the cards. I'm not sure yet. We won't really know until after Crown Jewel. By that point, they'll have 3 weeks to promote the fucking thing. Are they going to do another invasion? I don't care. I really do not care about Raw versus SmackDown. I hate that shit. Hated it last year. Hated it the year before that because it's never done the right way. And they go back to being buddy-buddy, like having SmackDown guys on Raw and Raw guys on SmackDown every week anyway. Almost every other week. It's not as bad as it was years ago, but they still do it. They go back to being buddy-buddy, like there's no real issue between the brands, which there really shouldn't be. They should focus on making their show the strongest and not competing with the opposite show. I am a fan of not doing the Raw versus SmackDown approach as well. Haven't seen too many people upset about that. From what I've seen, people are more happy that we're getting something different this year, and Survivor Series can go back to being, a good traditional show where they build up a big match or two. Team Angle versus Team Corbin, I mean, I guess you could do that, but I really don't care about Angle and Corbin. They do have to blow that feud off at some point. They've been teasing, a feud now for a few weeks. They do have to blow it off at some point, but an Angle and Corbin match, I'm not exactly a fan of it. But it's better than Raw versus SmackDown. His second question, I know WWE also likes to have both world titles defended at Survivor Series, but I feel sometimes you don't have to defend both titles. In the past, WWE's done it, and the show turned out fine. I guess your question is like what my thoughts are on that, because it wasn't really a question. That's actually inaccurate, because they did not have the World Championships defended at Survivor Series last year or the year before. And that was because they were doing the Raw versus SmackDown stuff, so if they don't do that this year, they will probably have the championships defended. It depends on the match. Like last year, obviously, it was AJ and Brock, one-on-one. You're not going to put both belts on the line. The year before that, I think Owens, who was the Universal Champion, AJ was the WWE Champion. They were both involved in that Raw versus SmackDown match. So again, you didn't need the championships on the line. Survivor Series, it's kind of sad because the show should sell itself, but at this point, it honestly doesn't, just because the show means nothing compared to other pay-per-views on the calendar now. So you kind of need the World Championships defended. If it's a good enough match where they're involved in a multi-man match, I don't know why AJ would be in a multi-man match. I assume it's going to be AJ, Bryan, and Miz. That's the match that I want to see, a three-way for the WWE Championship at Survivor Series. I would put that belt on the line. The Universal, well, I would honestly probably have it defended. And I mean, like, if Roman was still champion, you could do something with the Shield. That would be fine. But he's no longer a champion. He's not around anymore, at least for the time being. Braun will likely be the champion coming out of Crown Jewel. So I would have the championship defended, probably with Braun and McIntyre. So, I mean, if it's a good enough match where they don't have to have it defended, it's another multi-man match. But we've seen so many fucking multi-man matches on Raw recently with the Shield and Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre. I'm ready for the championship to be defended on a show like this. So I think this year might be the one exception where I'm hoping they have WWE and Universal Championship matches on the Survivor Series card. His third question, during your time as a wrestling fan, have you ever had to sacrifice watching wrestling for something else? I remember having to miss an episode of Raw in 2006 because I had to go to the movies to see Dreamgirls. Interesting choice. Yeah, I'm sure this has happened many, many times. More so in recent years. I mean, like nowadays I have class and stuff when SmackDown airs. It's interesting. Last week I intentionally missed SmackDown. I actually intentionally missed class to watch SmackDown. It wasn't the only reason. Like I have two classes on Tuesdays. My first class was a meeting anyway. I don't really want to drive to campus for just one class if I don't have to. We weren't doing anything. It was SmackDown 1000. I could have watched it when I got home, but I really wanted to watch it live with my girlfriend, with Alexis. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm not going to go. And I never miss class. I honestly do not think I've intentionally missed a class in like 3 years. And that's a long fucking time. So, yeah, I never really miss class for, like, wrestling. If it's, like, a pay-per-view, work, usually I work around it. Like, in recent years, I've had to miss pay-per-views for work, and that's fine. I won't be watching Evolution live on Sunday, and I'm completely okay with that, because I don't give a really two shits about the show. I'm hoping it's good, but the build has been terrible, in my opinion, anyway. Like other stuff you're talking about, like going out, social stuff. Yeah, I mean, it used to be a running joke amongst my friends that I could not go out on during Raw on Mondays or on Fridays during SmackDown because they wanted to stay back and watch the shows. And it was a lot harder back then to watch the shows. I used to have DVR, and I still have DVR, but back then it wasn't as easy to watch the shows like immediately afterward. Like if I wasn't home. Nowadays, I watch them on the way home or like when I get home or even when I'm out sometimes. I fucking went out to dinner for my brother's birthday last week. I watched the beginning of Raw when I was out at dinner. And I wasn't really involved in the conversation anyway, so it wasn't a big deal that I was watching Raw on my phone on the side. But it was like, I probably should not be doing this, and I really have no reason to because Raw has sucked now for a while. It probably was not necessary for me to watch Raw on Monday last week while I was out and about, but whatever. For me, it's not about like, must watch Raw right now. It's more so like it saves me time when I get home and have to review it. There's been a few cases where I've postponed largely school stuff to watch wrestling, not being pay-per-views, where I probably should have been back doing a project or studying for a test. I would watch the pay-per-views. That happened a lot. I had to work on a project, I think back in 10th grade, sophomore year of high school. And I was away all weekend. I was out and about all weekend. I had Sunday night to do it before I was due on Monday. And I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to do it. I'll just do it when I get home or whatever, because I have to go out and watch WrestleMania at a family friend's house, which I did. Wasn't back till midnight. Obviously didn't do it when I got back. It was a pretty hefty project. Didn't end up getting it done till Tuesday. Till Tuesday, because I didn't even get it done. Actually till Wednesday. It was due Monday. Didn't get it done till Wednesday, because I was going to do it Monday night and I was watching Raw. So, wrestling really got in the way of a lot of that shit. My parents would not be happy, specifically my mom. But that happened a lot. That changed when I got to college, and I was like, I'd rather do work than watch some of these pay-per-views, because some of these shows are not good. Then I started working more and it got different. But that has happened a lot, where I've had to sacrifice stuff to watch wrestling. But usually I do stay back and watch it unless it's really, really important. But yeah, sometimes I will sacrifice watching. I do that. I do that a lot more now. Sacrifice watching wrestling to do something else, either with my girlfriend or do whatever. Family stuff. At this point, I really don't care as much. It's not about watching the shows as it airs and avoiding spoilers, which it is true to an extent. I just don't really want to have to watch it and review it at a later date, or like later than I have to, because it kind of adds up and builds up when, it's not necessary, But that happens a lot more now. But back then I would, miss out on anything just to watch Raw and SmackDown. Not exactly the case anymore. I still love wrestling, but at this point I know there's easier ways to watch it, that I can watch it within an hour as opposed to 2 hours, because when I watch it on delay, I can watch it without commercials, which is even better. His next question: when the network was still new back in 2015, I actually hesitated to get it, considering they didn't have all the Raws and SmackDowns at the time. But even though they had every pay-per-view, I still could not watch it. I'm the type of person that can't watch old pay-per-views without watching what happened on the weekly shows leading up to the pay-per-view. Even though promo packages tell a good summary of what happened before, it doesn't tell you everything. I like breaking down in my head how a certain feud got to where it's at, because sometimes storylines would progress over a year and even branch off into other storylines and come full circle. The John Cena Edge feud that turned into the DX rated RKO feud comes to mind. Do you feel the same way? I agree. I just don't have the time. I really don't. I get where you're coming from to watch the Raws and SmackDowns leading up to a pay-per-view. But like, if I want to show someone a match, the video package should be enough to tell you the story. Because people just do not have the time to go back and watch every Raw and every SmackDown before a pay-per-view. I mean, it's cool, but like now when I review pay-per-views for like WrestleRant and stuff, I can't go back and watch the Raws and SmackDowns. I have no time. I wish I did, and I wish I could. That would be cool. But usually the promo packages are enough. And WWE does a good enough job with the promo packages, the video packages, where you're not really missing out on much anyway. So I'm not as anal in that respect as you are in regards to like, oh yeah, I have to watch every Raw and SmackDown before watching back a pay-per-view. Not exactly. Like, it is great they have all the Raws and SmackDowns, but the video package should be enough to tell the story. And like you said, some feuds will last over a year. Are you going to watch every Raw from 2006 to 2007 to catch up on every Cena and Edge match they ever had? Like, I don't think so. That's a lot. Maybe for a dedicated hardcore wrestling fan you can do that, but not everyone has the time and ability to do that. So I think just watching the pay-per-views works, but it's not wrong to do it the way that you're talking about either. Captain Sunshine from YouTube. This is more of a statement than a question, but I did want to include it because it's really, really important. They wrote, I watched Roman Reigns' promo about his leukemia, and it hit home hard like you would not believe. The reason it hit so hard is because I used to have two brothers. I say used to because it was 4 years ago that we were all diagnosed with leukemia, and it was 4 years ago to this very month that they both passed away because of it. I somehow managed to be the only one to overcome it, but I won't lie, the whole thing haunts me still. Seeing Roman Reigns talk about how he fought leukemia before and has to fight it again just brought back memories. I don't have any sarcastic jokes or any critical questions to share at the moment. I just wanted to say something about that. I don't know why, I just did. First and foremost, I am so sorry for your losses. That is absolutely awful. Cancer fucking sucks. Fuck cancer. Cancer is it's so terrible. I mean, it cannot be stated enough. And it comes out of nowhere, too, with a guy like Roman Reigns. This is a very real situation. This is more so than someone getting hurt or suffering an injury or leaving the company. The guy has fucking cancer. This is unlike anything that we've ever seen before in WWE. And it's not just to anyone on the roster either. It's someone who they have built almost their entire company around over the last 4 or 5 years. And it just goes to show that despite the fact that, WWE is really the ultimate escape from reality, like in your case, when you're going through stuff like that, and I cannot even begin to sympathize or cannot even begin to put myself in your shoes, no one will ever experience it the way that you did. When you're going through life's struggles, though, I think a lot of people look at wrestling as that ultimate escape from stuff like that, where they can get their mind off of people being sick, like your family members or friends or whatever. We enjoy wrestling for that reason above all else. And then when you hear shit like this, where wrestling gets real, and then one of their own performers has cancer, it's like, it really hits you that it can't affect anyone, whether you're Roman Reigns or whether you're whoever. It doesn't matter who you are. Cancer spares no one. And it's fucking terrible. It's bad enough that he got diagnosed. It's worse that he's had it before and it's back. And I think he'll be fine. He has vowed to kill, beat the cancer, kick its ass, which I'm sure he will. But still, it's heartbreaking. It's really, really sad. It's really fucking sad. No one deserves that. Absolutely nobody. And no one deserves to go through what you did either, which is equally terrible. So, again, so sorry for your loss. Leukemia, cancer just in general is fucking terrible. Like I said, fuck cancer. Brandon A. from YouTube, top 3 matches of the week. This is going back to a week ago, because I obviously can't include like tonight's shows. There's a lot of shows that air on Wednesday, so I'm including last week's wrestling shows too from last Wednesday night. So from Raw this week, my match of the week above all else would be Rollins and Ambrose versus Ziggler and McIntyre for the Raw Tag Team titles. Terrific match, every bit as good, if not better, than the match from Hell in a Cell last month. The finish was great. The aftermath, the post-match was shocking as all hell. But that putting that to the side, the match itself was tremendous. So I love that match. The other 2 matches I have to include here. The Fatal 5-Way from 205 Live last Wednesday night with Cedric Alexander, Tony Nese, TJP, Gran Metalik, and Lio Rush. Fantastic 5-way, amazing action. The crowd was into it. Got some stories furthered in there as well, some storyline progression. So I enjoyed that. Really, really good match that was won by Nese. And then finally, from last week's Mae Young Classic, Toni Storm versus Mia Yim. I think it was a quarterfinal match. I think semifinals are this week. I'm pretty sure that was a quarterfinal match. That was a great match. Really, really enjoyed it. So be sure to check out those 3 matches from the past week in wrestling. And also some honorable mentions. I think from Lucha we had, I think there was a pretty good match on Lucha last week. I don't remember. Oh, Johnny Mundo versus Jake Strong. Good match. And also Brian Cage versus Rich Swann for the X Division Championship from last week's Impact episode. Brandon's second question. In light of the news about Roman Reigns this week, I'll throw some love to him by asking positive Roman Reigns-related questions. First being top 5 Shield 3-on-3 matches. Well, first of all your questions have to do with like best Roman Reigns matches. I'm going to spoil my own list here. I just put out an article today ranking. I won't reveal what order. But a lot of these matches I will talk about in answering your 3 questions here are 3 questions, are from the list. I put out an article this morning for Bleacher Report ranking Roman Reigns' top 10 greatest matches in WWE today, which do include Shield matches and multi-man matches. They're not all singles matches. I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't include the Shield matches. I know they're not just him, but he was a big part of the Shield. How can I not include that? So they do include Shield matches. Be sure to check out the list. It's on Bleacher Report. I tweeted out the link. It's on my Facebook. It's on the website, nextowrestling.net. So check out the list. They won't reveal the order here, but I'm just saying that a lot of the matches I will talk about here are included on the list. So top 5 Shield 3-on-3 matches. The first 3 that come to mind are the Wyatt family from Elimination Chamber 2014, TLC 2012 when they faced Ryback and Team Hell No in their debut match, Evolution from Extreme Rules. So to include 2 other matches, I said the Wyatt family, I said the TLC 2012 match, and then Evolution from Extreme Rules. If I had to include 2 other matches, Evolution also from Payback 2014, which was the no-holds-barred 6-man elimination tag team match. And if I had to pick another one, the TLC match from last year was good. That wasn't a 3-on-3 match, but it was good. The one with Angle and Strowman and Kane and Miz and Cesaro and Sheamus, that was good. It wasn't, it actually wasn't even really the Shield because Roman Reigns was not involved, so I can't even include that. Never mind. I forgot that he wasn't involved. Anyway, if I had to include one other Shield match, what would it be? They had a lot of great matches on TV with maybe, Team Hell No and Undertaker, or Brothers in Destruction and Daniel Bryan, whatever you want to call it. That match from the episode of Raw, it was in England, April 2013. That was a really good match. When they faced Cena, Ryback, and Sheamus at Elimination Chamber 2013, that was a pretty good match. Their other matches with the Wyatt family were great too. The matches from Raw, the March 3rd, 2014 episode, if you want to include that. The main event one. Yeah, they had a match on main event. The Shield and the Wyatt family, once upon a time, had a match on main event of all places. And that was a great match too. Top 5 Roman Reigns and multi-man matches. His match from, when you say multi-man, obviously 3 ways and 4 ways and 5 ways, whatever. So I included Fastlane 2016, when it was him, Dean Ambrose, and Brock Lesnar in a number 1 contenders match, a triple threat for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Battleground 2016, when he, Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins, all 3 Shield members, faced off in a triple threat for the WWE Championship. SummerSlam 2017, when him, Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and Brock Lesnar faced off for the Universal Championship in a fatal 4-way. Survivor Series 2016, I throw in here too. I know it wasn't just him, it was like a 10-man tag team match, but I fucking love that match. It was Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. Gotta include that. Really, really good match. He was not the sole survivor. He almost won, but he got pinned by Orton or Bray Wyatt to lose the match, which was great. So yeah, I would include that one. And then finally, the Payback 2015 main event, which saw the Shield, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Randy Orton take on each other in a fatal 4-way for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Top 5 Roman Reigns singles matches, again in no particular order. From WrestleMania 31. Now, I guess you could technically call this a multi-man match. It wasn't for a majority of the match, so I will not include this in the multi-man category. I would constitute this as a singles match, even though officially it's a 3-way, between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Easily the best match they ever had. Every match they've had since then, in 2018 alone, has been fucking not good. They really were not that good. Greatest Royal Rumble, WrestleMania 34, even SummerSlam were really not that good. This was above and beyond one of the best matches he ever had with Brock. Extreme Rules 2016 with AJ Styles, I was there for that match. Fucking phenomenal match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Royal Rumble 2017 when he faced Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship, another no disqualification match. Tremendous match. Way better than I thought it would be. Fastlane 2015, which helped put Roman Reigns on the map when he faced Daniel Bryan in a number 1 contenders match to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. And then finally, some people may not agree with this, but I really like the match. No Mercy last year when he faced John Cena. Very good match. Roman Reigns won, so he had that going for him. He got a big boost from beating John Cena, so I would include that match as well. And his last question here, I know you like Roman Reigns, but you have said in the past that you were not a Roman Reigns fan. What are some of the things that you personally did enjoy the most about Roman Reigns? So yeah, I've said it before. I've never really, I've pooped on his booking. It's not Roman Reigns himself. The guy's not the next, whoever on the mic. He's not the next Roddy Piper, but his promos are good enough. The guy's got the look to be a star. I can see why they would build around him. I'm not going to talk shit about him, obviously. Just diagnosed with cancer. This is not the Poop on Roman Reigns show. You're asking me what I like about Roman Reigns. But I'm just clarifying the reason why I was never really the biggest Roman Reigns fan, and I would never really buy any of his merch, is because of how he was booked. It has really very little to do with him and a lot to do with how he was portrayed by the company. If they just turned him heel, albeit briefly, I think it would have worked. He'd be in a better position before this past week, but that had nothing to do with it. What I enjoyed most about Roman Reigns is clearly the fact that the guy is one of the most consistent performers in the entire company. I think a lot of fans have come around to realizing that, a lot like they did with John Cena back in the day. But when the lights are on bright, he can always be counted on for a very good match. Not every single time. The matches with Brock earlier this year I thought were shit. The Undertaker match I thought was shit. The Triple H match at WrestleMania 32 I thought was shit. But more often than not, he has really, really good matches with a variety of different opponents, whether it be Daniel Bryan or AJ Styles, Seth Rollins. He and even fucking Big Show had a great match at Extreme Rules 2015. He had great matches with Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt. Like, Roman delivers when it matters most. And even some of the small matches, too. He had a great match with Cesaro a few years ago on Raw. He's had some really, really good TV matches with Kevin Owens, of all people. Chris Jericho. Like, I think he does not get enough credit from everyone as much as he should for being a very consistent performer. Now, if he's in there with a Jinder Mahal, the match is obviously going to be fucking boring as shit. But he doesn't have to be in there with an instant, a Matt classic wrestler, like a wrestling technician, in order to have a really, really good match. Because he's had good matches before with guys like Big Show and Bray Wyatt and Braun. When the matches really should not have been that good, they ended up being great. And Roman can always be counted on for a quality performance no matter what. So yeah, a lot of his matches do blend together. He only has a number of moves in his arsenal, whatever. But really, he should be given more credit for being maybe not a great wrestler. I do think there's a difference here, but a great performer inside the ring, a lot like John Cena. In his matches, more often than not, he is involved in some of the best matches all year. Moving into the Facebook questions here from Andre G. First. Do you think that WWE should have had done past versus present for Evolution? I think talents like Michelle McCool, Ivory, etc. should be in singles matches instead of the Battle Royal. I mean, clearly you can't do that for every match. You can't, like, Charlotte and Becky have a great feud going right now. Would they sacrifice that feud just to do Charlotte versus Michelle McCool? Clearly not. I mean, in some cases, yeah, I mean, they do have that with Ronda and Nikki. They have that with Trish and Lita versus Bliss and Mickey, which may be in jeopardy of happening because of, I think Bliss got hurt at the live event that I was at on Saturday. I think she broke her nose or got a concussion or something, so hopefully it still happens. It's a tag team match, so maybe she doesn't even have to wrestle. But anyway, Michelle McCool really, honestly, does not need to be in a singles match. I can do without a Michelle McCool singles match at Evolution. Now, if her and Layla re-teamed up to take on the Iconics in a quick match, the Iconics versus Layla, cool, that would be kind of cool. No pun intended. I thought it'd be cool. Obviously not going in that direction. Does anyone really need to see Ivory in a singles match? The question is no. I know you said Ivory there. I really do not give two shits about fucking Ivory in 2018. I'm glad she's on the show. I'm glad she's being included. Molly Holly would be cool this year in a singles match with someone like Sasha Banks. It wouldn't really mean as much. Do people really care about a Molly Holly singles match in 2018? Again, the answer is no. So at least they're on the show. But someone like an Asuka, I would prefer her to be in a singles match. Her, I don't know how well Alundra Blaze can wrestle in 2018, but her and Alundra Blaze would be pretty fucking cool. We're not getting that. Maybe we get that in the Battle Royal. But I just think the build to the Battle Royal and just the pay-per-view in general has been really, really lacking. So we'll see if it delivers, but not the entire pay-per-view should not have been past versus present, because that's going to get old real quick. It's no different than Raw versus SmackDown for Survivor Series. It's one giant gimmick that really means nothing at the end of the day. His second question, Blast from the past. How well would a prime Finlay fit in today's wrestling? I think he would fit pretty well. Finlay in his prime was really, really good. I know the guy never held a world championship in WWE or WCW, but he was really fucking good. Very underrated. I don't think he would get too far. I think he'd be a lot like Cesaro, where Cesaro is kind of a throwback wrestler, but he's been a tag team guy for years now. He was a mid-card guy beyond that. I don't think Finlay would get beyond a certain level. He was involved with the original brand split. He was on SmackDown. He fought for the world championship a few times. He never won the world title, nor probably should he have, so I think he'd probably be in the same spot that he was back in 05, 06, 07, where he was like a glorified mid-carder, but he still had some pretty good matches because the guy was a very good wrestler and very underrated in my opinion. FD from Facebook's got a couple questions here. First one being, now hopefully this comes without controversy, but with the recent announcement of Roman Reigns being diagnosed with leukemia and how he might be away from wrestling for quite a while, will we see the end of WWE's Roman Reigns experiment that Vince McMahon always pushed for the last few years, and now they'll finally focus on a more balanced approach on pushing superstars from now on? The experiment is not over, no. Nor should it be. I mean, Roman Reigns is a top star. He's not going to fail. If anything, the guy is going to come back as the biggest fucking babyface of all time. So the fact that, yeah, he got diagnosed with leukemia, he's going to be out for a while. I don't know how long. When he comes back, though, it's going to be like genuine, like, it sucks that it took cancer to get him to that spot, but the guy's going to be the biggest babyface in the world when he comes back. I can't imagine anyone's going to be booing this man. I'm sure there will be some detractors still, but he should be a babyface when he comes back. He's a babyface for life, coming off of that shit. So no, the experiment is not over. That's kind of a dumb question to ask. I don't know why you would even ask that. It's pretty clear that no, he's going to come back as a top star, as he should, because he is a top star. His booking was shit, but maybe this is it's not even a blessing in disguise, because cancer is fucking awful. So I can't even say that. But, as you said, I will agree with one thing that you said, that maybe this allows them to push more people in the meantime. It will force them to push Rollins back into a meaningful role in singles competition. Dean Ambrose, Elias, Braun Strowman, a few people like that, Drew McIntyre. It sucks that it took that to force them to look at other talent and push them and give them the attention they deserve, but hopefully this improves their singles ranks, and hopefully this proves to them they should not put all their eggs in one basket. When you focus on only one guy and try to get him over, when shit like this happens, when someone gets hurt or gets sick, you need to be able to rely on the rest of the roster to carry the show. And right now they have that with Rollins and Ambrose, so hopefully that'll save the show. And Braun too, and Drew McIntyre, so hopefully they're not shit out of luck, but Roman leaving is a big blow to Raw, without a doubt. His second question: a few weeks ago, Kevin Owens and Elias both made Seattle erupt with massive heat after their promos, but as of last night's Raw, they both have turned face. Is this an apology from WWE for creating that massive heat from Seattle, or some plan WWE has had? No, that has nothing to do with Seattle. Kevin Owens was turning face anyway because he had to leave for a few months. It's not even guaranteed that he's going to be back as a babyface. I mean, the guy's out injured for a few months. He might come back as a heel for all we know. Elias, it does look like he was a babyface as of Monday, but that's only really because Roman Reigns got hurt, and they turned Dean Ambrose heel. So that's why they did that. That had nothing to do with the Seattle thing. That was a one-and-done type thing, even though the heat was amazing. And obviously it's all storyline, so why would they apologize to Seattle for that? His next question: is this the first time a tag team that just won tag team titles only for one, one of the partners turned on the other? Is that the last time that happened? Like what we saw with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins this past week on Raw. Any idea what will be the fate of the tag team belts? And does the turn hurt what the beginning of the show set up, or did it work in building up major heat on Dean as a heel? Did it work in building up major heat on Dean Ambrose as a heel? The tag team title thing, it honestly might be. I know there was a situation a few years ago, like 7 years ago, when The Miz and John Cena won tag team titles, and then The Miz turned on Cena. Like, they won the belts, and then Slater and Gabriel, Heath Slater and Justin Gabriel, invoked the rematch clause immediately afterward. And The Miz then turned on John Cena. And it's like, holy shit. It wasn't that shocking. They were facing each other at WrestleMania. So, it's not the first time that while champion, someone has turned on the other one. So I guess you can include that, but I've never seen anything like what we saw on Raw this week, where they won the tag titles, and then he turned on him right after, and they're still the champions. They didn't drop the titles. Like, that was pretty surprising. Because you never... why would he help Rollins win in the first place? I think they'll have an explanation as of this week's Raw. We'll see on Monday next week. I'm looking forward to seeing how they follow up on that hot angle. But, I don't know. I've never seen anything like that before, just because it logically would not make sense, but maybe they have an explanation for it. I thought the timing was perfect. The Dean Ambrose heel turn could not have come at a better time. I know there were reports that said, they were going to do it after Survivor Series. You know what? Fuck it. Last night was perfect. In light of the Roman Reigns thing, it made perfect sense. They're not shitting on Roman. They're not saying, Roman's a coward for leaving. No. Dean Ambrose realized the Shield is no more. Why the fuck would I continue to team with this guy that's treated me like shit now for a while? Let me just fucking beat the shit out of him when he least expects it. I loved it. And he got genuine heat too. If it happened at any other time, people probably would have cheered, because people want Dean Ambrose to go heel. Most people do. I shouldn't say everyone. So I thought the timing was masterful. And I really hope they run with this, and they allow Ambrose to be the heel that he was destined to be, and not a watered-down version. Not a WWE version. We'll see. And his last question here: now out of Monday Night Raw and into NXT UK, With the recent rise of British wrestling as seen with the launch of NXT UK, you might be intrigued to watch more quality British wrestling. Would you consider watching more of the British independent wrestling promotions more frequently, like Progress, Rev Pro, OTT, Attack Pro Wrestling, Defiant Wrestling, etc.? No. The answer to that question is no. I like NXT UK. I checked out the pilot last week. I will continue to review it for my website and maybe talk about it on the show and whatnot and answer questions about it if anyone wants to ask questions about it. But that will not intrigue me to watch more wrestling from the British wrestling scene. And I know they're great over there, don't get me wrong. I went to a Progress show, not in the UK, but here in the US, and there was a lot of UK talent on the show. I'm not going to watch more British wrestling. I watch a lot of wrestling as it is, and I'm very busy as it is. So with more time, maybe, if someone sends me a link, I might check it out. Will I go out of my way to watch it? The answer is no. At Reborn Again from Twitter, are there any women you feel should be at least appearing at Evolution, but so far aren't announced to be on the show? My choice would be someone like Victoria, someone who is far more underappreciated than she should be. I completely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Victoria should be on the show, or at least appearing. I mean, maybe she will, who knows, but I find it very weird they've completely gone persona non grata on her ass by not even acknowledging her. And she played a big part in helping women's wrestling back in the early 2000s. She was there for a while, too. Victoria was with WWE for several years. I think she debuted in 02, 01. She didn't leave until like 08 or 09. She was there for a while. Melina's another one. She's not as important, but Melina was a pretty big, star for WWE's women's division for several years. I'm not... Fucking Melina versus Naomi, who the fuck cares? I mean, I know the people were talking, fans were like, oh, Melina versus Naomi. Like, who gives a shit? Like, maybe in WWE 2K19 or something, or your little fantasy wrestling promotion, I don't know. But on an actual wrestling show, people will not give two fucks about Melina versus Naomi. Give me a break. But Melina should be on the show. I'm not discounting that. I love Melina. I'm just saying her versus Naomi is a joke. Oh, it's a dream match. What? Because they're both athletic? Like, give me a break. Eve Torres is another one. Obviously, AJ Lee. I don't know what Eve Torres is up to. She might be. I found it weird she wasn't in the Women's Rumble. Obviously, Caitlyn might be there. She was just a part of the Mae Young Classic. AJ Lee, I can understand why she won't be there. I'm sure they probably didn't even ask. But she played a huge role in elevating women's wrestling. Maybe not in the ring. I know she was one of the longest reigning Divas champions of all time. But I'm talking about, like, what she did as Raw GM and getting women on TV and getting them more TV time. AJ Lee was pretty instrumental in elevating women's wrestling back in the day for several years. And it's kind of bullshit she's not at the show. Again, maybe she makes a surprise appearance. I highly fucking doubt it. But those are some women I think should be on the show. Hey, you know what? Awesome Kong making a quick appearance would be pretty cool too. They included her in a few video packages for the pay-per-view, saying, oh, it takes everyone to be on the show. Like, she was in the company for a cup of coffee. But they have not ignored her existence. So it would be cool if she made a quick appearance in in the Battle Royal. I was hoping she'd be in the Royal Rumble earlier this year. Obviously, it didn't happen. But the Battle Royal would be cool. I know she's not as big as she used to be, but who the fuck cares? She's still really, really good. His second question, do you think there's any chance they'll add Drew McIntyre to the Universal Championship match at Crown Jewel? Or will they hold off until something like Survivor Series? I mean, I guess they could. Honestly, I'm not counting that out at all. I do think there's a pretty good chance they could add Drew. I mean, honestly, having Drew get added and having him win would be pretty cool, but Braun should win. Braun's got to win the belt. If Drew's not going to win, and they're going to have Drew get pinned by by Braun, honestly, that's probably the only reason why they would have him in the match, because they don't want Brock to get pinned. Who cares? Brock's never around. He probably won't be back for many, many months. Have him get pinned by Braun finally. Have Braun finally beat Brock Lesnar, which he should have done fucking a year ago. But whatever. It should be one-on-one, then build to Braun and Drew at Survivor Series. If you have Drew get added and then have him win the championship, that would be really, really cool. Otherwise, I would keep him out and build the Braun and Drew at Survivor Series. His last question here. I know it's not a wrestling-related question, but if you saw it yet, that is, what did you think of the new Halloween? I know you asked me about this a while ago, my thoughts on the new movie being made. I still have to check out your review, John. I have it on my watch later list on YouTube. I've just been really, really busy. I did check it out last week with a friend and my girlfriend with Alexis last Thursday, and I fucking loved it. Again, I still have to check out your review, so maybe you disagree. Maybe you thought it was okay. Maybe you thought it was shit. I don't think you thought it was bad. I got to watch your review, but knowing your taste, I don't think you didn't like it. But I could be wrong. I got to watch it hopefully later today. But I really, really liked it. I did. I watched the original back a few weeks ago to prepare for the new one. And I thought it was really well done. I'll do a full-on review at some point, maybe even on Wrestle Rant Radio. I'm hoping to have Alexis on later on today to talk about Halloween. She'll be on Wrestle Rant Radio tomorrow, but I might record the episode later on, so maybe we'll talk about it. But I thought it had a lot of great nods to the original. I thought the story was really, really good. The music, the overall feel of the film was awesome. The acting was good overall. Jamie Lee Curtis was excellent. They got the feel of Michael Myers down. I mean, I wasn't like scared, but it wasn't meant to be like scary. It was like every other slasher film you've ever seen. But it was a lot like Halloween, but just a 2018 modernized version in a good way. Like, I thought some of the shots where Michael would go into the house and just kill people, and it was all one shot, one consistent shot, was fantastic. Fantastic. I really, really liked it. I might even go see it again, which I will not say for most movies, but I liked it enough where I would see it a second time. So, I liked Halloween a lot. I really did. It got me in the mood, got me in the Halloween mode for next Wednesday, and I might go see it again before then. I would definitely implore people to check it out, especially if you like the original. And I'm glad they scrapped all the sequels because a lot of those were no good. And it just got very confusing after a while, too. I'm glad they stuck to the original story, built off that, brought people back for it. I loved it. I really, really enjoyed this movie. At Jeremy8911 with the final two questions of the show for today. First question was, do you think Seth Rollins will be forced to defend the tag team titles by himself against AOP on Monday? I do. With a heel GM, I was thinking about this the other day. What do you do to get out of the Raw tag team title situation with Rollins and Ambrose? And I thought to myself, well, it would make a lot of sense just to have Rollins defend the championship by himself. I mean, why not? Because he's not going to defend it with Dean Ambrose. I guess you could vacate it, but I don't know. That feels lazy to me. Why have them win in the first place? Why not just have Ambrose turn on Rollins during the match? I guess it would not have packed as much of a punch, so I can understand why they did it. But anyway, AOP should be the champions anyway. They've been booked like shit for a while. They only recently got back on track like a month or two ago with Drake Maverick as their manager. If not AOP, then the Revival. The Revival also deserve a run. But, I would have them lose. I would have Rollins, fight back, battle back against AOP, come close to beating them, and then only for AOP to win. I don't see why not. So, I would have AOP win the championships from Rollins on Monday, and it would mean more, too. Because if you vacate the belts and have AOP win a tournament, would anyone really care? Not really. I think when you have them pin the Intercontinental Champion, a credible competitor in Seth Rollins, I think it means more. It packs a way bigger punch. So, and it makes you feel more sympathetic for Rollins because, the guy's being ganged up on, his friend turned on him. I think it makes a lot of sense. And Corbin is partial to AOP anyway, so I think that makes a lot of sense. I would love to see that happen on Monday's Raw. And his final question, thoughts on Elias turning face, possibly getting a feud between Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre over the Universal Championship? And do you think Lashley will win the Intercontinental Championship from Seth Rollins in the coming weeks, making his feud with Finn over the IC title? So, a lot to unpack here. The Elias turning face thing I think is cool. Again, it sucks that it took Roman getting cancer for them to do it, but it's something new for the guy. I tweeted out right before that in response to someone else that he really peaked. Elias peaked in Money in the Bank after that great match with Rollins, and then they did nothing with the guy after that. Absolutely nothing. He has fucking spun his wheels and been treading water ever since then. So it's great that he's finally getting something to sink his teeth into. And people are behind him anyway, so why the fuck not? I think it's cool. I think it's something new, and I'm looking forward to it. The Braun and McIntyre feud over the Universal Championship, I'm in full favor of. I think that's a great feud. People have popped for them going face-to-face in weeks and months past, so it'll be cool to see them clash over the championship. Maybe, hopefully, it ends with McIntyre winning the championship at some point. That would be pretty cool. Braun is a babyface, Drew is a heel over the belt. Makes a lot of sense to me. And then the Lashley-Finn feud I like. I heard Lashley might be working hurt at the moment. So I'm hoping that him losing to Finn on Monday is not a way for them to write him out of storylines because he's only really just getting started as a heel in WWE with Lio Rush as his manager. So I'm hoping they continue to feud. I don't know if Lashley would be the one that I have, lose or beat Rollins for the championship, but it's an idea. and maybe Finn wins it at some point down the road. So, Lashley beating Rollins for the belt would be cool, but why not just keep the belt on Rollins? Like, he's feuding with Ambrose, presumably, going forward. There's your feud right there. I mean, the feud really is not over that Intercontinental Championship, but Rollins and Ambrose, it doesn't need the belt, but it would be cool if it was. So, Rollins and Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship, hey, that kind of writes itself to me. The Lashley-Finn feud could use it more, but if they keep the Rollins and Ambrose feud over the Intercontinental Championship, that's fine too. So, I'm not expecting Lashley to win the championship from Rollins, but it would be an idea, because at least Lashley and Finn would have something to fight over in that case. And that does it, guys, for today's edition of Hashtag AskGSM, episode 256 here today. Thank you guys, as always, for sending in your questions. I appreciate it. If you want to send in a question to the show, you can tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Leave your question on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section of this very video. I'll include it in next week's edition. So with all that being said, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back for an all-new Halloween-themed edition of Hashtag AskGSM next Wednesday. Until then, be well, guys. Check out that Halloween movie. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.